Welcome to another episode of Dad Chats with Matt. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're very thankful to have my good friend and lawyer, Chuck. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here in Good Crisp Studios.
That's right. Our media empire.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, tell us about your family.
Sure. Wife, Ishika, and we have 3 girls.
Yes.
7, 10, and 12. Avara, Kaya, and Kira. And they basically have all completely grown up here. One was born in New York, but we moved here. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. So you're a dad of 3 girls as well, which is something we share in common, as well as our amazing good looks. But we'll get to the girl part later on. So we've just come out of spring break. What did you do for spring break?
We went to Mexico.
Nice.
We go to sort of the same area of Mexico every time. And part of it is ease and habit and all that stuff. But part of it is I'm happy even before we get there.
Yep.
Because we have created so many memories there over time. And the girls don't do a lot of swimming here in Boulder.
Yep.
So both of the older girls learned to swim there, and I have those memories. So it's just like a happy place.
Yeah. I have one of those in Australia. It was like this beach town called Victor Harbour, and you sort of go up a hill, and as you drive down the hill, you see the town, you see the beach, and you instantly, as soon as I go down there, even if we just, because it's not far from me, even if we go for like a weekend or something like that, I'd still have that same feeling of, oh, I'm on holidays, I'm relaxed. It's amazing like that.
Yeah. It's different. It's not work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
all that stuff.
So you took the full week off, didn't work?
Yeah. I mean, we actually, like a typical lawyer, I try to arbitrage or maximize it. I always take them the Friday before spring break.
Right. Yep.
So they're only losing one day of school.
Yep.
And then we stay until the Sunday right after spring break,
right.
and we get a nice 9 days.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And how do you handle working, holiday time? Do you do a little bit at the start before they wake up? Do you try and do nothing? How do you?
I still haven't figured this out perfectly, or even close to perfectly. What I try to do now is I wake up the earliest, which will shock anyone who knows me, but on vacation I wake up the earliest. And I work out and I do work emails. Yeah. And then I basically say to the team, unless it's an emergency, I'm not available until after dinner. Yeah. And then after dinner, I'll do work and work emails again. Occasionally, there are calls in between. Yeah. And then there's constant email pruning. I'm sure you know that, right? Just to make sure stuff's happening. But that's a lot better than it used to be, where I just didn't create boundaries like that and say, this is work time, this is family time, this is work time. Yeah. And I would just sort of let it bleed into the whole vacation, which is no fun. How about what do you like?
I'm the same. I learned that as well, where it would be, because as well, I assume it's with your family, because your kids and wife are very understanding as well. Like there's this sort of expectation that dad will be working anyway, and that's not a good thing. And I used to take advantage of that and think, well, we all know I'm just going to work, so like sort of, and there'll be these little bits of I have to do a call or whatever. But then I'm starting to try and get better at, just don't schedule calls then, or actually be proactive and look through your calendar and cancel the meetings and stuff like that are there, and try and move it on. So, like I said, setting those boundaries and trying to be more disciplined about it.
And I don't know about you, but let's say I supposedly have an hour and a half of no calls, but I have this one. I'm thinking about it for this hour and a half instead of just being with the kids in the pool. Yeah. When I know I've got nothing from 9:30 to 8 on vacation, right? I'm just totally, I won't say I'm totally present, because I'm also, reading my book or doing whatever else, right? Drinking a margarita occasionally. But you just...
Yeah, no, you're right. What you think is like an hour is actually 3 hours of sort of time away.
Yeah, thinking about work.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. And then how do you handle that day to day when you're back here? Right? You're a very popular lawyer. You have a lot of clients, a lot of things going on. How do you handle like that work schedule and time and things like that?
Deeply and perfectly.
Yep.
And I know, like, before you had Elliot on, he saw his stylist and his makeup artist, and he was ready to go. You had some great dads on here. One thing that I'm always worried about, that if I were one of your literally dozens of watchers would want to know about, is that day-to-day management. I always feel like I'm failing. Yep. Like, I'm trying really hard, but I always feel like I'm failing. To the extent that I create bright line rules, it's the kids' events. Yep. They've got to play, dance performance, something that I will not miss. Yeah. But even though theoretically I'm trying to create time in the evenings, if a client has an emergency, I'm going to deal with it in the evening. So it's not always perfect. And what I'd love to hear from you, and then maybe we could talk about work from home and
Yep.
how it impacts us.
Yep.
It's not like, okay, the calls ended at 6:30 and I'm immediately awesome dad at 6:31.
Yep.
Right? Especially with work from home where there's no transition time. I'm like stressed.
Yep. Yeah.
They come in and they want to play and I'm not fun dad yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't get it right. I feel bad about it, but I try to get as much right as I can.
I think that's one of the really tricky parts about those late night calls. Once again, it's not the hour call; it's all the stuff around it. If it's stressful, you come off stressed, right? And then you immediately, I take it out on my kids. Like, you know, like I'm shorter with them, and it's bedtime as well, which is like the worst time sort of things as well. So you do this late night call, and then you're trying to get the kids to bed when you're sort of stressed. And then I'm afterwards, I'm like, why was I like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't actually...
Once you had a breath.
Yeah. And it's like, who cares? They went to bed 10 minutes later. Why did I make such a big deal about this? And I say that, but equally I can see it in my wife Nat's eyes of like, really?
What are you doing?
Yeah, like what's going on here? Yep.
I mean, given what we do, also a lot of time during the day we're like, do this. This is the answer.
Yes.
Apply this. Execute this.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work with kids.
Yeah.
And I'm still in that mode though.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be doing this. Do it. Do it. And it's not great.
Do you... This is around, I was thinking the other day, do you get like decision fatigue or things like that, having to make so many choices at work that when you get home it's difficult, or you just don't care about choices so much?
Oh no, I totally have decision fatigue, but as Ishika will joke, she's like, you're not Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. You don't have to wear the same t-shirt every day like you do. But I do feel it, and I'm generally like, I don't want to make decisions. They aren't the ones we get paid to make.
I just thought, I was the same. I always just think, I'm not Zuckerberg, I'm not an idiot. But then I was thinking the other day, like, why am I so stressed about this thing? So I just can't be bothered working it through. Like, I've had to think and do all day, been trying to sort of, that's my job, right? Is to help people make decisions and have an opinion and do it. That it's, when you get home, it's tough. It's just like when the time you're supposed to sort of, like, your wife's like, okay, right, let's make decisions, let's do this together. I've been waiting all day.
Here are the 10 things I'd like your input on. Is how Ishika sometimes shows up, and I'm like, it is completely fair that you want my input on these things. Just pretend I gave you an answer you don't like, and do what you want, right? Because I don't want to think about any of this.
It just sucks, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes, I mean, most of those are not parenting decisions, but sometimes they are. Yeah. And really, those are more important than the decisions we made all day.
Yeah.
But at the time we're being asked to make them, I'm like, are they fed?
Yeah. That's right.
Then I don't care.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. All right. So you've got 3 girls, same as me. How's that been?
If anything, and you probably feel the same, one thing I've learned from parenting is expectations and reality almost never align, for good and for bad. So I would definitely say, on the one hand, the energy my 3 girls have is totally different than the energy I observe of, boy families or that me and my brothers had.
Yeah.
But their energy is all different as among each other. My oldest one is the most like me, and therefore the most difficult and not quite as emotional as the other 2. Yeah. When stuff is happening and I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. It's not punching each other like me and my brothers might do. It's just screaming at each other and having like a higher level conflict, I guess I'd say.
Right. Yeah, for sure. It's been definitely so much more emotional. Definitely more. Yeah. Instead of fighting about it, let's scream about it or cry about it or storm off about it or things like that from there, which sort of can be a little like.
Which is a less caveman way to deal with it.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Yeah. There's pros and cons either way. Like I kind of wish they would fight it out and move on, but we've got to deal with it. But then as well, even outside, like I'm now my eldest, a little older than yours, she's just turned 14. And dealing with teenage girls and that whole sort of thing as well has been an eye-opener. Like I had no idea what teenage girls were like, right? I was terrified of teenage girls when I was a teenager myself, but now you're seeing sort of the inner workings and the messaging and the cliquey groups and all of that, and that's been eye-opening. Yeah.
We are not super rule-oriented parents, and I'm not a Luddite, but phones and social media for that reason. It's like, generally speaking, the only thing I care about is nurturing how they think about things and make decisions from a place of, I hope, goodness, rather than this is the rule. But with social media, we're like, you can't, there's no social media. Yeah. Now, all the other kids are on social media, and that creates a different problem. that it's toxic.
Yeah. So is your eldest has got a phone? Is your middle child got a phone?
No, none of them have phones.
None of them have phones. Oh, or even okay.
They're not allowed to have phone.
Right. She middle school yet?
Middle school.
Yeah, and still no phone.
I know. She tells us she just told us on vacation she's the only one of her friends without a phone.
Yeah.
I got them watches.
Okay. Yeah.
So they can text us or call us from a watch, but they're not. You don't go on social media on a watch, so that you can also know where they are. Find my watch, right? But yeah, I don't want to make things too difficult. But everything I see about social media is just with teenage girls, it's just not worth.
It's not. Thankfully, I think the pendulum is starting to swing. There's a lot of pushback, and people are seeing it, and it's becoming more. I mean, it's obvious, right, how bad it is for it, but it's becoming more talked about, and I think over time it'll swing back because it's just gone too far this way, which is no rules, no nothing. Kids are on it. It's just it is what it is, and we're saying that's not the best. My eldest has got a phone. We caved. Like I was like, no, you're not getting a phone, and then it was the whole everyone's got a phone, Dad. I'm the only one
totally
that doesn't.
Judging you right now.
Definitely, I justified in my mind that we had just moved to America.
I'm kidding.
She didn't have any friends. Like, how do we sort of? Because that's the tricky part, right? Like. All of the social interactions happen on phones, right? Good or bad, that's just what it is. And so it's a tricky sort of tricky balance to get into. But we're very no social media, none of that stuff. But even like it's like all kids, like you draw the line, and it doesn't matter where I drew the line, sort of thing. It's always push like, oh, I just want this social media or this app or
future entrepreneur and businesswoman, right?
Yeah, that's right. She's good at negotiating things out of me. That's for sure.
I mean, the one thing I think about with social media is when we were in school. Way back in the day. More back in the day for me than you. You got a break when you went home.
Yes.
Or when you went out with your friends from whoever was not positive to you.
Yeah.
So my oldest daughter, the one in middle school, is a theater nerd, Dungeons and Dragons, like really bright girl, but not like super athlete or this or that. And she was explaining to me, well, I have friends in this period, but then this period I get bullied. And then I have friends in this period, in this period, but then this period I get bullied.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I am glad that she doesn't have social media because I think she might get bullied on it, given what happens at school.
Yeah,
right.
And 100%, you don't escape, right? Like you go home and then the messages come and it's not even like I've seen from my daughter. It's not even necessarily messages, but it's like as in like, hey, you're a loser or something like direct messages like that. That's probably easier to deal with. It's like hey, we're all out at the shops, here's photos and sharing it with you because you weren't invited, right? That's sort of like you can, if there wasn't the social media.
Machiavellian there.
It's for sure. But if they didn't have that, my daughter would never have known that they were down there or she wasn't invited or whatever, and it would have been this blissful world till she got back to school again sort of thing.
She'd been hanging out with her sisters or whichever friend she was hanging out with.
Yeah, just enjoying it. But it's the, sort of they can't escape that. So it's tricky. I don't know what the answers are. Hopefully I'll just keep them off as long as we can, and hopefully society sort of like in Florida, they just made a rule now. I think under 14, you can't be on any social media. So
and I worry if I'm on the same side as Florida on a social issue, but but I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I agree. Nice. Now your kids' upbringing has been very different, I assume, than your upbringing, right? Same as with my daughters and things like that, and managing that. How do we talk about this a little bit offline, but how do you manage that sort of entitlement versus wanting to give your kids things now that we never had when we were younger? How do you sort of manage that really tricky balance?
Imperfectly. Yes, if there's any theme here, right? It's
it should just be a disclaimer.
No matter how hard, and it's lawyer, no matter how hard, I guess anyone who is, you're literally dozens of followers that are watching. When I see Elliot, right, or Doug or whatever, I'm like, God, or you, God, these guys haven't figured out they're such good dads. And what I want to express is there are a lot of us out there trying that are don't know that they're getting it right all the time. It is totally different, and I very much worry about threading the needle, like we discussed, between giving them the benefits of why we work hard and get rewards for it that hopefully accrue to their benefit, while also giving them perspective and making sure that they're not entitled, right? And there are definitely times when we're in Mexico, for example, that like, this is some really entitled behavior and I don't like it. And what am I doing to create it? Versus give them the perspective to tamp it down, right? And it's not as simple, unfortunately, as, sometimes it helps, but you're out at a steakhouse and your daughter wants to order $100 steak, and you're like, we're on vacation, I guess. But you also want to be like, I need you to know that at no point in my life until a law firm was paying for it did I have $100 steak.
Yeah.
Like it just never happened. Or, I mean, especially their grandparents on my wife's side literally could not afford food when they moved here to the US. And I want you to have that steak. I also want you to know lots of people can't.
Yeah.
And it takes hard work and luck to arrive at it.
Yeah. Do you think it sinks in? That's like my struggle. Like I'm telling these things and it's like straight the other one and you know, eats a quarter of the steak and then it's full and walks off and it's like, did you get what we were trying to say? Pretty much. Yeah. It's like that's a tricky, but that's a good way of chatting it through, I think, and being mindful of it and talking about it and hoping that sort of it washes over them. Like they realize this isn't normal, right? Like it's not. Like when we just even the fact that we're, you know, we live in Boulder, we have this, we have good jobs, like that puts us in sort of, you know, the top 10% of the US or even higher, and it's hard to
You're already outrageously lucky.
Yeah.
And this came up with, we talked about sending the girls to private schools.
Yeah.
No judgment on people sending kids to private schools, but we're like, they get, first of all, they get so little perspective as it is, given where we live. And but second of all, you can fall into this trap of trying to maximize the outcome for your children. Yeah. Instead of realizing that merely by virtue of the fact that they've got parents who care about them, who have good jobs and they live in a safe area and they are fed, are already going to be, they're going to be fine. Yeah. Right. They don't have to go to the A+ school instead of the A- school. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. Probably better than fine, right?
Better, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've come around, getting close to the end of wrapping this up. Do you have a dad chat for us to finish on?
A dad joke?
A dad joke, sorry. Yes.
All right. So I piloted some on my kids earlier. This is the one that got the most groans, and then the most from the older girls, and the most laughs from the little one.
Okay, perfect.
Why did the farmer call his horse Mayo?
Oh, I don't know why.
Because mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's I like it.
You got to groan a little bit, a little laugh, a little groan.
A little groan. It takes a little bit to get it as well. I think that's everything in a dad chat. That's a perfect dad joke. Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you very much for coming on today. I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah.
See ya.